Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. Folks, we got a great show for you, a lot to talk about. First, we're asking the question, is Vice President Kamala Harris stuck? There seems to be some issues within the administration about how to use the vice president and how she can get out of a space where she's just not a political partner, but a governing partner. We'll have that conversation. Also, folks, let's talk about how Bling Pastor out of Brooklyn was robbed at gunpoint on a live stream Sunday. I'll break down to you the details and what does this mean for the religious community when certain decisions are made. We'll have that discussion. Also, colorism, Zendaya and Keke Palmer. This has been a big trending conversation right now about whether Keke Palmer is getting the same type of love and light that actress Zendaya is getting, or is there some form of colorism that is taking place? We'll talk to our fantastic culture crew panelists to get their take on the situation. And then finally, folks, I gotta talk about millennials who are deciding not to just move out, but they still want to stay close to home. I know our culture crew member, Lise Winnie, got something to say about this. Later, we got trends, posts, and doing the most to bring you some updates about some big things. So stay with us. It's all going to be happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in and for joining us today for another exciting edition of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Look, folks, I'm very excited about the conversations we got lined up for you, so let's jump right in. The first one being about Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, I've shared with you on this show in particular some of the challenges that Vice President Harris has been enduring since becoming the vice president, from everything from kind of being dismissed in meetings and in important conversations to not being talked to when decisions are made. And as a result of that, there seems to be some friction within the Biden-Harris administration about where the vice president stands, and most importantly, how she can be used to move this administration and its interests and goals forward. Now, we have talked about the vice president in terms of her role, looking at a number of issues from abortion rights and women's reproductive rights to issues relating to immigration. But the vice president is still not seen, even though she has taken trips overseas, even though she has met with foreign leaders, she's still not seen as a huge asset to the Biden administration based upon what some folks within the administration are saying. And so now the question becomes, considering President Biden's health and wellness, considering that the Democrats are looking for to set up a very competitive, not just a general midterm election, but also looking forward for 2024, is Vice President Kamala Harris, is she in a good place? Or is she in a space where she doesn't seem to have the growth? She's not going to be able to move forward. This is a part of a conversation, and I want to share with you some of the writings of an author by the name of Jeffrey Frank, who is an author of a number of books relating to presidents, and particularly looking at the history and the work of vice presidents. Take a look here, folks. Let me just share with you what Mr. Frank had to say in his New York Times op-ed. And we'll bring in our culture crew, Lise Winnie and Iman Heath, into this conversation. And of course, we want to hear from you. So make sure you get ready to post your comments and all of your thoughts on our social media platforms. But let me just share with you what Mr. Frank said from his piece. He said, quote this, check this out, folks. He said, Vice President Kamala Harris, who was a first-term senator from California before entering the White House, hasn't been given the sort of immersive experiences or sustained high-profile tasks that would deepen and broaden her expertise in ways Americans could see and appreciate. In the modern era, of course, talking about a 68-day trip, which was a trip that Vice President Nixon had to take to a number of countries when he was a part of when he was vice president, and how that at the time Nixon was able to build those type of relationships and be seen as an international leader. Well, for this case, a 68-day trip for a vice president would be laughable. But over the last 18 months, her on the job training and governing has largely involved intractable issues like migration and voting rights, where she has not shown demonstrable growth in leadership, and hit or miss trips overseas, like the troubled foray in Central America a year ago, and the more successful delegation to meet with the United Arab Emirates, new president, leading a team that included Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. Now, check this out. Mr. Frank furthers that his comments by saying, if other presidents have formed substantive partnerships in office with their VPs and made efforts to deepen their experience, President Biden and Ms. Harris have been either unable or uninterested in a similar transformation. From the outside, there's little evidence that the Biden White House feels much of the urgency felt by General Eisenhower to enhance the role and preparedness of the person who might inherit the presidency at any moment. Speaking of President Eisenhower, who was the president when Vice President Nixon was vice president. Now, Mr. Frank furthers his comments by saying this. Check this out. Mr. Biden's announcement last week that he tested positive for COVID-19 underscores the clear and present need for the 79-year-old leader, his aides, and Ms. Harris to find ways for her to become a true governing partner, rather than just a political partner who helped get him elected. This isn't simply about being fair to Ms. Harris or elevating her like some other vice presidents have been elevated. Americans deserve to know and see that they have a vice president who is trusted by White House and administration officials to take over should anything happen to the president. I want to expand this conversation to our culture crew members, Lise Winnie, host of Millennials Anonymous podcast, and Iman Heath, who is an activist and entrepreneur, and get their take on this. Ladies, first, welcome. It's always a pleasure to have both of you ladies joining us today. So this is going to be a great Tuesday. So good to see y'all both. But sis, let's talk about this. I'm gonna start with you first, Lise, because I feel like Iman has a few choice words as well. But Lise, let's talk about your take on this. Mr. Frank saying basically the vice president is not a governing partner, as seen by how the Biden administration has been dealing with her, and looking at how she has handled herself going overseas. Do you think that Vice President Harris is stuck?
I do, but I think that this is something that he mentioned Eisenhower and with Nixon and like Andrew Johnson. Like she isn't the only most unpopular vice president. What I will say is this: she and Biden have always had like a difference kind of their views and political policies. I think that's why he chose to put her on the ticket. Plus, having an African American woman on the ticket helped him. I think at this point, Kamala is in a situation that every vice president gets in. Unfortunately, you are at the mercy of rise or fall of where they are. Al Gore was able to really get up under Clinton because Clinton was a popular president when he came out. He didn't win, but he did have popularity. People didn't dislike Al Gore. So I think that in this particular situation, she is stuck. But this was a choice that she made. She knew what policies that he had. She knew who Biden was. And this is where she is. She's even had issues in her own department. Like in the vice president, she has had a lot of movement with staff, and it's just not been good. So I think that this is something that they do need to work on, bringing her to the forefront, especially since they need forerunners in the Democratic Party. And unfortunately, Kamala Harris also is a Black woman. And I think Black women tend to get looked at worse. People didn't like her when she was running. People didn't like her when she was in California. It's just what it is. When you are a strong or perceived as a strong African American woman, you are going to have more eyes on you and more people that are going to scrutinize you for doing the same thing that everyone else would do.
Iman, what's your take on this? Is this situation just is this a reflection of some level of sexism? Is it a reflection of some level of racism? Or is it just a reflection that the vice president doesn't really have what it takes to become an international leader? And I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just saying, in the eyes of many people, and let's keep it real, even some black people say, you know what, she may not be the one to represent us in the office.
So I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the sexism. That's the train I was going on.
Okay.
I feel as though because she is a woman, we're gonna put the color to the side for a second. Because she is a woman, just for example, saying how to deal with her or handle her shows to me that as far as Biden's party, the staff in the White House, everyone included, they don't. I'm not gonna say don't respect her, but there's a certain level of respect I feel as though that isn't there for them not giving her certain opportunities to be able to show that she can, if need be, run the country. But I will say, from her certain responses and her tone of voice when she's responded to certain things that she has been accused of or certain things that she said, her tone, that when we bring in the African American, her being African American woman, which also narrates the angry black woman. So
Right.
it's almost as if she's stuck, unfortunately, in this strong, like Lee said, strong black woman image to everyone, rather than she is a vice president. Yes, she's a woman. Yes, she has emotions. Yes, she's black, but let's not take away that she made it to, she was voted to be vice president. Like she's a vice president.
Right.
Take away her being a woman, take away her color, she holds a valuable position that she needs to be prepared for, instead of just, and like Lee said, she needs to come forefront and show her face more, speak more, get on the same bandwagon. When Dick Cheney and George Bush were in office, they were best pals when it came to Homeland Security. So her and Biden need to look like at least they're on the same page with things. And he's falling off bikes and whatnot.
I think some people would even argue that Dick Cheney was the president under W.
I think so. I think that's an awesome. Yep. And I think that's simply because Dick Cheney knew the ins and outs of government more than President Bush, right? Like he came across as being much more of a tactician, a strategist versus Bush. So he understands how government work, and he worked the loopholes of government. So we can definitely say that. I think that what we're seeing now, and it's interesting that, women say, well, what, vice president is getting a bad deal. She's getting like the short end of the stick. But not a lot of, and I could be wrong. I know some black women who are still riding hard for her, but then I also know some other black women that are saying,
all skin folk ain't for the kinfolk. And that's all I got to say about it when it comes to Kamala.
I agree to a certain extent, because I think any black woman who gets in this position of power is going to have levels of scrutiny, because she is not a superhero, Wakanda forever, but she can't do that. Like, I think that people need to understand that there are limits. When you are the vice president or the president of the United States, you govern for all people. You cannot govern for a specific segment of society, because we saw what that looked like for 4 years. And it didn't work out very well in the end. We had insurrectionists who were willing to jump inside of the Capitol for their cult leader.
right.
We can't have that. So you have to be able to find a way to govern for all people. I think that this just shows sexism in a level of, Kamala was tasked with a lot of foreign policy issues. These were really big things for her to get done. They're not easy issues. And I think that you are right, Farajii, when you say that maybe I guess Iman said it, they do need to have more policies where you are seeing her on the forefront. But I think this is where the abortion issues, you're seeing her more out on the abortion issue. You're seeing her talk about gun rights and gun control. And so I think that this is where they can start to use Kamala. We going into year 3, things aren't looking great. So this would be a great time to put her in the forefront and use her background, because this is what she did. Like, she's a lawyer. Like, if you can't use her for her strengths, I don't know if you can. But then again, Mike Pence was in the White House for 4 years. We very rarely heard anything from Mike Pence.
Right. No, no, no. I agree. I agree. I mean, I think a couple of things. One is the vice president is often behind the scenes in a lot of ways anyway, right? Like the president is the face of the country. You know, he is the one that the CEO of the country versus the vice president is kind of behind closed doors. It's only been recently that, and I'm just saying the past 30 years that the vice president has a much more public role, right? You know, we know the names of vice presidents: Al Gore, Dan Quayle, Dick Cheney. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know the names of it. Even Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying? Like we have branded the vice president and the president together now, whereas before they were kind of behind the scenes. But it's like, you know, even with the little memes of the bromance between Obama and Biden, that kind of had concretized this view that it's like, yeah, two brothers, two friends in the White House, and they getting it done, having fun, making jokes, you know what I mean? Taking over the world.
Now it seems like we have polar opposites at this point.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
we're not seeing that. We're not seeing it.
Y'all know each other?
We're seeing an older white man and a younger black woman going in two different directions, right? One is seen as being, you know, like the stalwart of the Democratic Party. The other one, people are still trying to figure out, you know, the final decision about her and the role that she plays and the power that she has is still being determined. So, you know, I mean, I think that to your point, Iman, and I think you mentioned this too, Lise, there's a respect level. You know, I mean, it's crazy. One of the things I learned about organizing is if you're just coming into a role as an organizer, start with the low-hanging fruit. Start with the small issues. Get some wins under your belt, and then you can kind of work yourself up to the big issues. I don't know about y'all. Immigration, huge, big issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, no president has really dealt with the immigration issue, you know, in the best way. It's the big issue. When you're talking about voting rights, now I think she should have slam dunk on voting rights.
Yeah, she could have
slam dunk on voting rights, right?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Slam dunk on voting rights. Abortion rights, big issue right now. She should be moving to the forefront of that conversation.
I believe the campaign she's currently working on is called "How Dare They?" I want to say from the article that we were talking about, and it seems as though she's playing more on like people's emotions or being upset about the decision, rather than telling us what solutions there can be. I know Lisa's going to say they can't paint the picture that it's going to be okay. I understand that. Don't give us fluffy thoughts. However, I think that she should come with more concrete solutions to, hey, this is how we can fight against this. This is what you do to go against that, rather than, you know, have everyone emotional and upset. You know how that go. We upset for 5 minutes, then it goes away and it goes back swept under the rug. So I think she needs to come with more solutions for what civilians can do to overturn this decision or protest something, to give us something tangible that we'll be able to do to change this.
Speaking of emotions, Iman, I think that she does need a moment, like an off-the-cuff anger moment. Like, you know, I know she often restrains herself in her speech. She often wants to come across as taking the high road, right, when she's talking about things. And it's like, you got to have an off-the-cuff moment.
She's black and she's a woman.
But
so that's not going to help her, though.
But here's the thing. The off-the-cuff moment that got her to the vice president was the moment that she jammed up Joe Biden at that debate. When she went off on Joe Biden, it was like, she's going to bring that fire. She's going to bring that fire. And as a result of that, she became the vice president. She became his running mate. She had to have those conversations behind the scenes. But then that fire just slowly kind of died out, I think. And this is my opinion. I could be, I don't have no problem saying I'm wrong. I'm just saying that based on how she's moving, how she's handling things, and most importantly, showing the American people and the rest of the world, it's like the passion. It's okay to be passionate. And that's the big lesson that I think Black political leaders need to have. Like, Black political leaders think they need to just be so restrained. And I just wish that one time some black political leader would just say, man, hell yeah, I said that. And I say it again, Samuel Jackson style. You know what I mean? Like, hell yeah, I did that. And I'll do it again. And it's like, have that passion. Black people want passion from political. We don't want that. Well, we're going to do our.
But hold on, Farajii. You said black people. Like Lee said, we have to remember and think of our image for Americans.
I get that, but she's losing support among black people first.
Forgive that fire that black people want. She may, and y'all know how this go, may lose support of our white voters, because they may say, like I said, she already has 2 strikes against her. Unfortunately, there are 2 strikes against her. She's black and she's a woman. So that's going to backfire no matter when she says or how she says it. It's going to backfire somewhere. So I don't agree that she should have that same fire and passion. But I will say, I guess come with a little more aggression, just a teeny bit. But she can't be an angry black woman. She can't. I
mean, you know what? Go ahead, please.
I think it's because when she came off that way, she was unlikable. One of the things is that when women come off that way, even whether it's Hillary Clinton, I mean, of course, she's white, but Hillary Clinton or any other woman, when you come off that way, look at the way that AOC is perceived. A lot of people like her, but a lot of people don't. And unfortunately, you have to walk this very fine line in between professionalism and passion. I also think that we won't see much from Kamala Harris as far as her getting out in the forefront. First of all, she's a vice president, and I don't think that Biden's going to do like a Jimmy Carter, where Jimmy Carter gave his vice president like all of this access to the briefings and, you know, foreign policy. I don't think we will see that from her. But I do think you will start to see her maybe more involved in the foreign policy, and you will start to see her more so in the forefront. I think it's coming. We just haven't seen it yet. And I hope that people give her an opportunity, because I know that people were still getting on Kamala Harris, black people in particular, because of her record as Attorney General in California. Like, people still haven't gotten over that part.
Right, that's true.
This is unpopular, but she was doing her, that's her job. Like, her job was literally to prosecute people. That was her job. So I don't know if she will ever come off as likable, and I don't know if the passion would help her. I think it would actually backfire.
I hate that we even have to consider somebody to be passionate to be a liability. That is sad. We said the same thing about. I remember we said the same thing about President Obama when we saw all of those police shootings, and after Trayvon, and it's like he still got to be restrained. It's like, damn, man, when do we get upset in public? Like, when we get upset, right? But then if white males get upset and they start shooting up the place, it's
fine.
You get to go to Burger King before you go to jail.
So you have young white males that can go get so upset and kill people. We get upset and people saying, look at him being unpresidential. Look at her.
Right.
The double standard is bull. It's absolute bull. All right, before we jump off this conversation, I do want to recognize so many people that checked in. Janae, Thirsty Tuesday. Janae, is that your name now? Thirsty Tuesday? Okay. All right, Janae. What the hell did Pence do during his vice presidentship but run from his leader and his minions? Get out of here. Always this sexism. What the hell did Dan Quayle do? Stop. Well, I mean, we know that.
Agreed, Janae.
We already know that. Look. This ain't rocket science. Let's just clear the air. And from this conversation on forth, there will always be a double standard for black politicians,
especially black women.
And there's going to be a triple double standard if you're a woman. Throw that in.
At this point, expect it, accept it, and move accordingly. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is, y'all. That's what it is. But why is white people able to do it? Because they built the system.
Or maybe you're right, Farajii. Maybe somebody should just come out and be like, this is it. But look at the mayor in New York. I feel like he has that passion, and people don't necessarily necessarily like
People
it.
ain't banging with him. But see, he got the passion in the wrong way too, in some cases.
Yeah. I think he has to articulate his words, just shape them a tad bit better. Because when he was talking, I'm like, we'll be going with this, my brother. I'm trying to follow you, but which
I mean,
direction
you know what I'm
are we
saying?
going?
Like, I get it. There's a passion, and I mean at least why are you trying to open up Pandora's box? We ain't got time for all this. We ain't got time for Mayor Eric Adams right now to talk about. We just don't got time. Janae, your Thirsty Tuesday. Thank you so much. Janelle, real quick, you said Vice President was set up with the hardest portfolio of topics, the issues. She was tasked with our what do you say? With our issues that had no movement towards success in years, so they weren't fluff topics. No, they weren't. That's why I said low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit. Get some wins under your belt, right? Voting rights, I don't know. I think that's a big one. Police brutality. Pushing for the bill for the George Floyd bill. That's you said right there, as a prosecutor, you should have been, I mean, slamming them. And then I get it. You know what I mean? You got to do some work behind the scenes. It's not just that easy, but I'm saying expressing the importance of it from even a prosecutorial standpoint where you're like, no, we need to make some reforms in the system. Let's go to Truth is Power. Truth is Power. You said the only reason why she doesn't have the publicity and notoriety she needs is because she's going by the book of the system that is set up for her, not to shine, but to be a face. This is not, for me, and with all due respect, Truth is Power, this is not about notoriety. This conversation is about how does she get to a place of being seen as a governing partner with President Biden, and more importantly, as an international leader that come 2024, when we've decided, well, who's the next person or who should be the face of the Democratic Party, it shouldn't be, It should automatically be Kamala Harris. It should automatically. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like when Clinton was in office, we didn't look outside of Gore. Clinton already knew that. Look, man, I'm about to leave this joint, but I'm gonna pass the torch to you. We're not seeing that. We trying to figure out who the next person is going to be, and we got a black woman that's in office, and guess what? People are not putting her as part of it. And if we keep it honest, ladies, people are not saying she should be running. We're like, oh, Biden shouldn't run, and everybody that came with him shouldn't run in 2024. We're not looking at her. We're not looking at her. Let me go to final comment very quickly. Sophia, you checked in and said, whenever we use white supremacy lens to grade anyone, wouldn't we all be stuck? Seriously, Roland talked about this weeks ago. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. What is the lens that black people are using? Because again, all black people are not riding for the vice president right now.
Very true.
And all black women aren't riding for the vice president right now. Iman, you said, nah, she may. No. Depends on what the field look like. She may or may not get my vote.
And I'm right. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to stick beside her. But I don't know if she will run, but I supported her before I supported Biden. She just didn't get the nomination because I think she can do the job. She's just not been showcased very well as far as her skills.
There we go. Opportunity to be showcased has not come.
And look, y'all not always on, you and Iman are not always on the same page. Y'all two dynamic, well-thinking women, and y'all have come to the same conclusion, though. So that means that something is still needed to be done.
At least I think we just heard her point. Right. Oh, we just made it worse.
So we will see. But of course, we're going to continue to have the conversations about her, especially as we get closer to this year's midterm election. How much power, if we're going to see some growth coming from her, and more importantly, if we're going to see her really be getting out of this sunken place. We should have really said that. She's in a sunken place right now, and see if she can get seen and get heard and be known as an international leader. Only time will tell. All right, look, we got to take a quick pause when we move forward. All right, let's talk about this Bling Pastor bishop, this bishop out of Brooklyn who was robbed at gunpoint while he was preaching a sermon live. I'm going to break down the details, and then I want to hear your thoughts. Stay with us. That's coming up here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Now, I want to talk to you about a story that piqued my interest, and I thought that it might certainly pique yours. This is the story of Bishop Lamar Whitehead, who is a bishop in Brooklyn, New York City, who was given a sermon on Sunday in front of about 100 congregants when all of a sudden he heard the door open up, and guess what? Armed individuals came into the church and robbed him at gunpoint on the live stream. Now, according to CBS News, he was 10 minutes into his sermon, and he said he knew that they were coming for him and not the members of Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries, which is his church. Now, this is what Bishop Whitehead had to say in this quote. This is what he told CBS News. Take a look, folks. He said, what you don't see on camera, let's go to the next one, please, Ariel. He said that what you don't see on camera are around 100 congregants who were in the room. Men, women, and children dropped to the floor in silence. He said, my church is traumatized. The women and children are still crying. Babies are still crying. Now, here's the thing. Here's what the pastor also said. He said he believed that his family was targeted because of the publicity he received when he helped turn in the suspect wanted in the fatal subway shooting of 48-year-old Daniel Enrique in May. He said, I turned him in, but the media called me the bling bling bishop. They had my Rolls Royce collar over everywhere, and I feel that played a part in this. I think all pastors should be able to get permits for pistols. Now, I brought this up because it has so many layers, and I got my dynamic duo with me today. Lise Winnie, who is the host of Millennial Anonymous podcast, and Iman Heath, who is an entrepreneur and an activist and a churchgoer. At least you're a churchgoer too. So I don't want to make it seem like you ain't got no.
Who's going to church?
Yep. Okay.
Y'all like how I started that off. All right. So
I better say they don't like me in there, but go ahead.
They don't like me either.
All right. So there are a number of different dynamics to this story. Now the situation is this pastor was robbed at gunpoint. They got a lot of jewels. They also, according to the story, they also robbed his wife of the jewels. Now, I'm going to share with you a little bit more about this story, but based upon this situation, here's a pastor who said that he spoke up and was able to get somebody arrested for of course, breaking a crime, having a murder. But the other part of it, to have a pastor to be plastered all over the place as the quote unquote bling pastor by the media speaks volumes to me. And more importantly, it speaks to how media can really create dissension, how media can really be used as a tool to divide the people. And then the other part of it is the brazen violence that we continue to see happen in our neighborhoods each and every day. I mean, when you start robbing pastors on Sunday morning, because they're going to be there, it's just taking things to a whole new level. So, Iman, what's your take of this whole situation?
I'm not going to say it was right or wrong. All I can say is there is a street known code that snitches get stitches. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not supporting it, but I can understand the perspective why he would feel as though he was targeted due to him turning in that young man. That could be it. It could also, like you said, he was plastered all over the place with his Rolls Royce and being portrayed as a bling pastor. Times are hard out here. Really hard. And if you're living in Brooklyn, New York is hot as hell for anything.
Right.
So it does put a target on your back when you're labeled that way. It even says in the article they robbed his wife, put the gun to the 8-month-old child's head, took his rings and tapped on his chest to see if he had some more chains on.
Right.
So I definitely believe it could have been a target towards him turning in that young man, but just to add insult to injury, you look like you have money. You come off as you have money according to the media. I need some money, so let me get that up off you so I can make my money. So it's
a terrible situation. It's a terrible situation. Yeah. All right, look, we want to play the video because my team, Ariel, you got the video. Folks, take a look at this situation. All right. All right. That was an inside job.
Yeah, because the young man in the background,
he was standing up on the wall too.
They look dead at that man and did not go up to him.
Let's get this out the way. First and foremost, the situation could have gone left in a very serious way. So I thank God that nobody was fatally shot or killed or anything. All right, I want to say that because I don't want us to start thinking like, oh, cool. But second of all, that situation looked way too calm. Like the guy was standing on the wall. I don't know this dude, of course not, but he just didn't look. He didn't look phased, to be honest.
Farajii, the young man turned.
He didn't look phased at all,
and looked dead at that young man, but never walked up to him, never walked towards him, and that young man did not move. Now, I'm not saying in a situation you should be frantic and start hollering and screaming, but he was still.
Yeah.
And look, and the guy, I'm sure they made eye contact because he looked at him and just kept it moving. Now that part, something not right.
Well, here's the thing. The thing. I think again, this situation has a lot of layers to it. Mm-hmm. So the fact that now, for those who don't know, they were able to get at least $400,000 worth of jewelry from this armed robbery. Mayor Eric Adams spoke on this situation and said that, you know, they're actually still looking for those who were responsible for this. But they got a lot of money off of this situation. They got a lot of jewels out of this situation. Mm-hmm. And as a result of it, it does at least makes me wonder, one, should there start being some security in the churches, right? Two, for pastors who rely on the material things, is this a clear warning? And Lisa, I want to get your take on that. You know what I mean? Is this a warning that you don't go in front of the people? You don't present yourself to the people, even if you representing God and God wants you to have riches and to be enriched and all of those things, that you still got to recognize that in this day and time, and I'll never forget, Mos Def said this on his album, he said, everybody can get got.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that there is a level of, we are in a gilded age right now. Like it feels like we are going back in time where the top 1% or 0.1% of people have all of this wealth, and it's all the people at the bottom that don't have anything. And I think when you have a lot of the celebrities go through this, and I guess a lot of the pastors where they need to flaunt their wealth because it makes them feel good. But what they don't realize is that other people are calculating that wealth. So if you have it and I don't have it, I'm going to find a way to go get it. It doesn't really make sense. It's irresponsible to have that level of jewelry and without security, because when celebrities and stuff wear that level of jewelry, they usually have security. No one walks around with that. I've heard even they floated $1 million worth of jewelry. I think that this says a lot about the churches and where the churches are going and the very complicated history Black people should have with the church. A lot of people have been seeing this with Creflo Dollar coming back and saying that tithing was wrong. He needed a jet. And we're seeing all of these people have all of this wealth and their parishioners have nothing with the taxes. Like they don't have to really report where this money is going. So it's a lot of issues wrapped in this one. But what I will say is it looks a little suspicious to me. Until all the facts come out, I can't say for sure. But it looks suspicious. Not only did they gun straight to the pastor, I mean, he is very flashy, but they didn't focus on any of the parishioners. He knew that they were coming for him and they were only targeting him. It just sounds a little odd. So this is not typically the way, if you've ever seen a robbery go down, this is not typically, it took a long time to get in and out. It's just a lot of things. I'm like, really, pastor? I don't know, pastor.
And the sad part about it, and at least the sad part about it, because I agree with you on all your points, and that's the sad part about it. It's like
you get insurance on that type of jewelry. You get
insurance
on that type of jewelry.
But Iman, the thing that gets me is that we're having a conversation about a pastor that wears jewelry in church, and a lot of pastors do. I mean, let's not play around. They might not have as much on, but they might have a watch that's worth 10 grand on that wrist.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, you're talking about a day and time, and I'm with you right there, at least when you say this is the gilded time. We're living in a modern gilded age where people are not thinking about there are no boundaries on what people will do to get a little come up.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the most uncomfortable part about it. I mean, again, these young black men that went into this church to commit this robbery, they were carrying guns, but I don't think they were intending, and I could be way wrong on this, but I don't think they were intending to kill anybody. Because you didn't hear no one scream.
Yeah.
And some of y'all was like, well, where's the volume at? Because no one screamed. It was just
silence. Wow.
Hey, man, we know what's going on. Now, and we shouldn't have this many questions about a pastor who, okay, say he got somebody locked up. Now we're questioning the pastor.
Yeah.
For doing the right thing. But now we're like condemning him. And I'm not saying us particularly, but I'm just saying as a people, we're like, why he got all this jewelry on? Or why he's driving a Rolls Royce? Like,
so my question to you two and those who are watching, what box do you put your religious leaders in?
Oh, please.
Is it a problem that he had jewelry on? Is it a problem that he drives a Rolls Royce? Like what?
It depends on the size of the church for me.
Okay.
It depends on the size of the church. If y'all know, if the pastor is the minister, the pastor of a church that has a very humble beginnings, you know what I mean? We know what mega pastors look like. You know what I'm saying? If you're talking about a Joel Osteen or like you said, Creflo Dollar, or it depends on, like a lot of these mega churches, a lot of them are folding because people are just tired of that expression of the word. But it depends on the size of the church. If you have a small, humble church, the pastor shouldn't be rolling up to the church. And I mean, it just seems weird, man. I'm old school.
To be fair, he does have a real estate business supposedly outside of the church. So it's not,
and that's real. That's real, right?
He's getting all of
like
his
I know my minister used to drive a Mercedes. So I'm not talking about some, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people drive Mercedes. So I'm not gonna be like, well, why my minister driving a Mercedes? But and then like you said, Lise, like pastors do have other jobs. If the church can't support the family and the livelihood of the pastor should be able to work and have other jobs, right? But I think that for us, the culture has always been, if you are religious, and I'm gonna just throw this out there and y'all tell me if I'm wrong, people have attributed being religious or being a servant of God with being poor. And
or
that's
having
not
to
true.
play poor, or having to
that's not true, and that's not fair.
Make that much amount of money,
right? People often be like, where he getting all this money from, right? But you can't. I mean, that's not fair to expect a man or woman with their families. They're the pastor's family of the church, and we always think that they should be poor, lowly. You know what I'm saying? And not have, and always begging people for money. That's not fair. I don't
think that is fair. But I think if you go by the Bible, you should be humble. And like I said, I can't tell you, I ain't been in church in a long time. Okay, long time. But if you believe in the word, you believe in being humble. And that you do not throw this up in your parishioners' faces. My issue also is I watched another video of this guy being interviewed by somebody. The disrespect that came out of his mouth as a pastor, calling people fat and ugly, was just
the cussing pastor on Instagram.
No, him,
No,
the guy, this one.
No,
and so
no,
that's why I was like, I think that there's an issue that we have, and with this relationship with a lot of the pastors, where not only do we think that they should be poor, I don't think that's it. I think we think they should be very prosperous, and that they are almost godlike. When you look at in the Black community, The lot of the bigger churches, they become almost godly, where you're almost worshiping the pastor and it bypasses God. In this particular situation with this pastor, I think that it was distasteful because this isn't a huge church for you to be out there flaunting this type of wealth in this church, especially in that community, knowing that that community has all of these issues. It was irresponsible and it was stupidity. You don't wear that kind of jewelry flashing around people who can't even get food. Inflation is
here's the dynamic on it. Here's the pushback. At least here's my pushback on that. As much as I think you are making a strong point, here's the pushback on that. Culturally, we use the same way that we relate to celebrities. It's the same way that we relate to our religious figures, right? When we see a pastor wearing the jewels, driving the big car, flashing the money, and he's telling us this is the fruits of your service to God. This is the fruits of your faith, right? For people who have nothing, that sounds like everything. So you are drawing people in based upon materialism, same way that we support celebrities. We know certain artists that they got money, but there's something about seeing a person with their jewels and they talk about it. You know, I got this, I got that, boom. And we even though we're like, I know if I buy a ticket, I'm adding to that.
Right.
But there's the other part of us that's like, I'm adding to that because I want to have that.
I agree. I think that we do need to look at success differently, but that's my biggest issue with the church because of what it's supposed to stand for. Yeah. You should not be promoting materialism because there's a lot of people that give all their money to the church and they are devout in what they believe and they never get anything because they're giving most of their wealth and money to the church. I think that we do need to hold these people accountable if you're going to be in this position. This is a position of power. When you are a pastor, they can, in the community with politics, a lot of the politicians come through churches. They can really dictate a lot in the community. A lot of sometimes the state and local government gives the churches money, and these are tax dollars. There has to be a level of responsibility that we give to these religious institutions and people that are in those positions. But with this guy, just when I saw that other video with him calling that, it just told me and showed me what type of person he was. And I'm sorry. I don't believe, I'll wait till the evidence comes out, but it just sounds a little suspicious to me. This just when
I want to get your time. I want to give a couple of comments.
Without that part, because I wasn't aware of that part that he said, but I also would like for, I'll say, I guess, churchgoers, those who tithe 10%, I believe it's 10% of what they earn. I want people to get the mindset that your pastor is a volunteer, your bishop or deacon is a volunteer. Let's think of reality. It's kind of like a job. They're there multiple days out of the week. So you cannot think or believe that your tithing doesn't go towards their, I guess, pay in any kind of way. I'm not saying they're taking most of it, putting it in their pocket, but something has to go towards their family to, I guess, lead the congregation. Like it's their job. They're leading. Yeah. So let's not get you hooked up on thinking that 10% that you're tithing is not going to go towards, I guess, them getting paid or towards their check. That doesn't even logically make sense.
The bill didn't never get paid. That bill didn't fund.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the other part of it. Here's the other part of it too, right? Because this is certainly something that I've learned about churches, even a mosque, that when you have a church that's a part of a larger organization structure, right? Like, so you have the African Methodist Episcopal Church, the AME Church. That's a larger system, right? The Nation of Islam. You have a mosque, but then the mosque is a part of a larger network of other mosques connected. There's a system in place. And so there's a greater level of accountability and responsibility when you go to a church or a mosque or a synagogue that's a part of a larger system, a larger network. There's a greater accountability. The Catholic Church is built the same way, you know? So when you look at that, That's one of the reasons. It's not to say that those misdeeds don't happen in those places, but there is some level of accountability because it's not just one small church. When you're talking about small churches that's just started by somebody who said, I'm tired of being a part of this larger system, then I think you should question it. You know what I mean? As a church member, as a congregant, and please don't let people get into your head to think that you can't. Well, why that old saying, don't question God? Wait a minute, man. This is not God. This is man.
God said you can ask questions.
Like, because every dime should be accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You got the building fund. Okay, the building fund is, are we building? Are we funding the building, or are we building your fund? You know what I'm saying? So, it's like there are questions, and you should be able to ask questions, not in a very suspicious manner, but even for tax purposes. They should give you receipts for your donations, right? They should have some level of some financial accountability system in place to let you know that your money is going where it's supposed to be going, and for you to know that their operations is on the up and up. Very quickly, let me get to a couple of the comments. Folks checked in. Let me see here. I think I saw a good one. Let me go to my man, Brother King Lee. Brother King Lee said, first and foremost, brother, man, shouldn't have had that much jewelry in the church. I got you. Again, materialism attracts people.
It does.
Jewelry attracts people. So I understand what you're saying, King. You know that. But when you poor and you walk and a man in front of you talking about what you can get and the power of your faith, and his chain is dangling in front of you and your eyes are just moving with the chain, and you like, oh yeah, amen, Pastor, amen, amen.
Yeah, if I'm already poor and you look, whatever poor may look like to you, why would I trust for you to lead me to whatever it needs to be so I can get to my pocket? Like, that don't even make sense. You gotta look the part.
Right. It's like the drug dealer. The drug dealer attracts you, right? Because if the drug dealer pulled up on the block, got a nice ride, he pulling out a knot of cash. You don't remember when we were children. Now, I know some of us we've matured since then. But he pulling up on the block. He like, what's up, shorty? You like, I'm good. He be like, yo, you want to make some money? All your eyes is going to the money, to the car,
shoes, the fresh fit every day,
everything. He's smelling good. Same thing. Women do. If a man pull up with all of the trappings of success.
The trappings of success. Farajii.
You know what I'm saying?
A t-shirt.
Look, trust and believe, he got your attention, ladies. You know what I'm saying? You could be like, I don't want that. But if he pulling up in something foreign, and you like, whoo, he looking something foreign, girl. Look at that.
Especially females. That's not mine. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Let's keep it real.
And that's why we gotta change we have got to change the culture if we're going to get anywhere in society. We idolize celebrities for this. Yep. They look down on us for not having any money, but we make them rich. We control way more, and we don't even realize it.
Woo. Hey, look, here, at least check this out. What about the ones that here we giving our hard-earned dollars to make people rich, and then they flashing in front of our faces and talk about how they worked hard for it.
Right.
You ain't worked harder than me.
Where? You worked hard where? The whole
you ain't worked harder than me to talk about it in your song.
Listen, I got this out the mud. What mud, baby? Your shoes not even dirty.
Because then that must be I'm the mud, baby. Because
for real.
Right.
I'm the mud because you got that from me, baby. Stop playing. You got that from me. So look, no, I hear that. Folks, look, we got to take a quick pause. And look, let me just say this. Let's just keep it real. All due seriousness. This situation, even though it has a lot of questions, is still a situation that could have gone left, right? So I really hope that all of the congregants, I'm not talking about the pastor, but the congregants in the church says, really look into the situation. And if you find that this pastor is not only up and up with you, that you do your best to get somebody that is going to live and express the word and your values the way you want them to be expressed. Because you don't have to take that. You don't have to. This is 2022.
Or they can start
You don't have
patting
to
people
take
down
that.
the door.
Say
Pat
it
people
again?
down to the door. The mosque will pat you down. Pat people at the door. Something.
Security at the door is absolutely important. There have been a number of conversations that I've personally been a part of and that I've heard over the years. When situations like this happen, people say, well, should churches have security? I think any religious place has security. I remember when Dylan Roof killed our people down in Charleston, South Carolina. Many people asked the question, should we have had security? I think if you're in this day and time, security of any religious people, especially when you have our elders and especially when you have our young in those places, there needs to be some security mechanism. In this day and time, you need security of those places with our most vulnerable. That's all I'm gonna say. You can't leave it up to what the Lord is going to take care of. The Lord works through men and women.
Work. You got to make it safe. You got to work.
You got to work without work. You don't keep your house door open, but you gonna keep the church door open.
God lock the door for me. God
gonna lock the door. No. Let's get out of that. All right, we got to take a quick pause. Moving forward, let's talk about Zendaya. Let's talk about Keke Palmer, and let's talk about colorism. I'm gonna share with you why one tweet just created a firestorm, and it caused the actress Keke Palmer to respond to talk about not just her work as an incomparable talent, but more importantly, it brought up the conversation about colorism in Hollywood. Stay with us. We'll have that discussion. And then later, let's talk a little bit about millennials who are moving out the house, but not too far. And of course, I got you something for Trends Post and doing the most. Stay with us. It's all moving. It's all happening as we move forward right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. We'll be back.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, welcome to the second hour of today's show, The Culture, here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for checking us out. Folks, we've been having some dynamic conversations for this first hour. Man, talking about everything from Vice President Kamala Harris to the Bling Pastor, Bishop Lamar Whitehead out of Brooklyn, who was robbed at gunpoint. You want to check out the discussions? Make sure y'all check us out on the replay here on the Black Star Network. All right, moving forward, let's talk about where we are around the issue of color in Hollywood. Now, there still seems to be a lot of discussion about this idea that if you're lighter, you're going to get further. If you're darker, you're going to stay behind. And this was essentially brought out just recently when Keke Palmer has been really just basking in some recent success as her being part of taking the lead in the new Jordan Peele film, Nope. Now, she has said that she has shut down this idea that a comparison was made about her. Let me just share with you first and foremost what the tweet said. It was posted July 23rd, and it will compare Keke Palmer to Zendaya, another young dynamic actress, and looking at colorism. The tweet was posted, and it said it was an example of how colorism plays out in Hollywood. Now, both stars, if you know their history, got their starts on popular children's TV shows before having careers that include music, Emmy wins, and then, of course, headlining Hollywood films, major tentpole films. She said, the tweet said, quote, "I'd like someone to do a deep dive on the similarities and differences between Keke Palmer and Zendaya's careers. This may be one of the clearest examples of how colorism plays out in Hollywood. They were both child stars, but their mainstream popularity is very different." Now, Keke Palmer, after seeing this quote, and this is the quote from Melinda E.G., at NBA Gladiator. But when Keke Palmer got wind of this quote, this is how she responded to that comment. She said, "A great example of colorism is to believe I can be compared to anyone. I'm the youngest talk show host ever, the first Black woman to star in her own show on Nickelodeon, and the youngest and first Black Cinderella on Broadway. I'm an incomparable talent. Baby, this is Keke Palmer." Now, she continued in a follow-up post that says, "I've been a leading lady since I was 11 years old. I have over 100 plus credits and currently starring in an original screenplay that's the #1 film at the box office. Nope. I've had a blessed career thus far. I couldn't ask for more, but God continues to surprise me." Now, there's a look at the tweet. And I wanted to get our dynamic duo, Lee Swinney, host of Millennials Anonymous podcast, and Iman Heath, activist and entrepreneur, two dynamic, powerful, critical thinking sisters on this conversation. Ladies, what do you make of this idea of colorism, especially when it comes to Keke Palmer and Zendaya, and then how Keke responded? So Iman, I'm gonna start that with you.
Of course, colorism does exist. Colorism was something that was brought to us. It even dates back to in-house slaves versus the field slave. Lighter skin, you're in the house, dark skin, you're outside. This was put on us. That's number one. Number two, I haven't done the numbers. I haven't ran the numbers, but it depends on the intent of that initial tweet. Whoever compared Zendaya and Keke, Zendaya has been in a huge Marvel movie. I just want to start right there. She's done modeling things. Keke has her 100 plus credits as well. So I haven't compared the numbers, but if you want to compare the numbers, then we'll know the true answer as, I guess, to who is better, whatever the case may be. I don't want to say this is a colorism issue. It's like when Nicki Minaj first came out. I'm sorry, Cardi B came out, and everyone compared her to Nicki Minaj. Like, I don't want to say it's colorism. Like, I don't. I just, sometimes people start, especially on Twitter, clickbait and things like that to put two women against each other unnecessarily. So I can't say colorism does exist, but I can't say this is the case.
So you don't think that colorism is a part of this conversation? I think we all can agree that does exist, right?
Yeah, it exists. I just don't think it has anything to do with Keke and Zendaya being compared. I don't think color is for this, in my opinion, but it does exist.
It does exist. All right, Lise, what's your take on this?
So Hollywood is one of the biggest, I would say, offenders when it comes to colorism, because this is where beauty starts. So a lot of us get our idealistic view of beauty from Hollywood. We look at the leading ladies and we see them. When I was growing up, all the beautiful ones in the show were these lighter complexion, or they were brown skin, but their hair had to be really soft or straight or long. Like, it's all of these different types of Eurocentric features that are considered beautiful. Like, you have to be extraordinary if you are a dark-skinned woman to be considered beautiful in Hollywood. things are changing now. So I think we're getting to a place where you're seeing more dark-skinned women, like Viola Davis is a leading lady, but we're seeing more of them being not just leading ladies, but looked at as beautiful leading ladies. Because a lot of the times they're leading, but it's not in this beautiful, desirable role.
Yeah,
I agree with Ahmad. Now, when I'm on the same. Zendaya was in a Marvel movie. Maybe the colorism of the accolades and people knowing her aren't necessarily where the colorism is. Maybe it's opportunity. But I will say that I think that Zendaya, who's a phenomenal actress, Keke Palmer is amazing. But I think there are two different types of actress. And a lot of people don't understand that. Zendaya is a dramatic actress. She transitioned from Nickelodeon over to, or Disney. She was in Disney over to becoming a dramatic actress. Keke Palmer, I wouldn't say is quite a dramatic actress. She's an actress, a phenomenal one. She can play a comedic actress, whereas Zendaya, we don't really see her play those roles. So I think they're just two different types of actresses, and that's why you see them be more appealing to different audiences. Is colorism somewhat there in the underlying tone of opportunity? Maybe, but I do think
opportunity. Yep. Yeah. There you go.
Let me. You know what? When I first heard and Lisa and Iman, when I first heard about this conversation, I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't compare the two.
That's what I'm saying.
I really can't compare the two. And I've watched Keke Palmer. I remember her from the TLC movie. I remember her from Akilah and the Bee. I remember the works that she's done. But when I think about Zendaya, you know what I'm saying? My son loved watching Casey Undercover. She, of course, we know she's in Spider-Man. Her HBO show was fantastic.
Euphoria,
Euphoria was wild.
Euphoria is so good, it's almost unwatchable. Because it's just so real, you know what I'm saying? Like there's this thing about it. Zendaya has this kind of like this groundedness that you rarely get to see in young women actresses, right? Especially Black women, in the sense of how she brings certain things to life. I just think they're in two different categories. I
agree.
I just don't see, and I think that when you look at Hollywood. I agree. I think there's certainly colorism. We can't stop that. But this sort of and I think the person who brought this up, it reminded me, and I think we talked about this, ladies. Remember the sister name, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she was talking about as a light-skinned actress, she's able to get far more opportunities and roles than dark-skinned actresses. And I can't remember her name, but really, in real talk, that's not true. That's not true. And I think that if we start bringing up, and look, let's just say this. Zendaya did not mention colorism. Zendaya didn't even know that this conversation was going to be bringing her into it. I think Keke kind of got a little bit emotional. It's like, look, let me just break down my resume for y'all.
I'm Keke Palmer, baby.
Let me show you how to do this, son. You know, it was just a little bit of that energy versus saying, what are you talking about? Why are you trying to create beef between me and my sister? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think she just gotta, she just gotta jump the gun just a tad bit on it.
I could see why she would jump the gun though, because being the darker skinned female in this situation, I could see why, even if she felt as though she had to speak up, because maybe there's some dark skinned women who, especially younger girls, look up to Keke as far as her, being someone who is very vocal and speaks her mind about whatever may be bothering her or situations that she has been in. She may have felt she was responsible and had to say something. So I can understand why the underdog in this situation, being a darker skinned female, why she would say something back. Me personally, if it was me versus a light skinned chick, I'm gonna say something back too. Because let's be clear, it ain't got nothing to do with her advantage as a lighter skinned woman with finer hair as well. But I would say something too. I definitely don't blame Keke at all.
All right, so the sister and folks, I love when the folks gotta help us in these moments. Michelle Ray, thank you so much. Tandy Newton is her name. Janelle, thank you so much. Tandy Newton. Remember when she made those comments, and I'm like, Tandy, you're not even getting the serious roles.
I think, but Tandy has to play Oh my gosh. I cannot think of the biography that she got. And they painted her darker. And that's
Who,
why
Tandy Newton?
I believe it was Tandy Newton that got
Yeah.
it. And I'll think of the singer, because she played a singer that is a very, very dark skinned singer.
She didn't play Nina Simone, did she?
Yes, that's it. Nina Simone. And so she got the role. I do think in Hollywood, we cannot ignore the fact that it is true. If you are a lighter complexion, and Zendaya is not even just light skinned, she's biracial,
Right.
which adds to a level
Right.
of opportunities for her because she's ambiguous, racially ambiguous, which is something that Hollywood looks for. When we saw the credits come out for Straight Outta Compton, the light-skinned biracial women were looked at as A actresses. The dark-skinned natural hair or weave-wearing Black girls were looked at as D-list.
Hold up, Lee. Question. Hold on. So you watch the credits and
no, this is the call sheet. So when they were looking for people, they considered biracial, light skin, long hair as A. If you are dark skin, had short hair, or you had a weave, you are a D. And this is how they do in Hollywood. This is what call sheets usually look like. So it is true that colorism is definitely a factor. We're just starting to see people like Lupita play these more beautiful, she's looked at as this desirable character, but this was not always the case. Usually we were the mammy, the Jezebel, the drug addict. We were the sassy Black friend, the person that was, the angry Black woman. Those were the roles, the mother, the single hard mother. Like, that's the roles that dark-skinned Black women played. Let's just call it what it is. Colorism exists. But I agree with Farajii. This is about two different, you're comparing apples and oranges. These are two different actresses that you cannot compare together.
Oh, okay. So just a quick correction. Folks are saying Zoe Saldana is the actress.
Okay, one up.
Not Tandy Newton. Tandy Newton made the comment, but Zoe Saldana, and I appreciate y'all for checking in. Zoe Saldana played right. And when I remember when they were casting Zoe Saldana for that role, I was like, what are y'all trying?
Her lips not even
right. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
I'm talking about face structure. Her face structure doesn't even match nowhere near Nina Simone, who has very, you know what I'm saying, very strong features, lips, cheekbones, everything. So I definitely don't get that. All right, let's go to what our people are saying, because folks are checking in, feeling like this conversation, and I feel like, again, every so often, you have this conversation about colorism in Hollywood and all of those things. Personally, I think that people just want to see great talent. If Keke Palmer, here's the thing, if Keke Palmer can do more dramatic roles, I think that would add to this discussion. Prior to her being in Nope, I'm gonna just, y'all tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think people were really talking about Keke Palmer that much.
I don't know if that's it, because Keke was in Lightyear. She voiced, like she was in Aquila.
I know that's a part of her resume. I'm just saying, in terms because seeing people are saying Nope is the role that's going to put her into a whole different space, right? Like her career is going to be in a whole different level. And really? I'm just saying, I'm waiting to see for that dramatic side of her, because I see Zendaya. She can nail that. I haven't seen a role that Keke can nail that on a dramatic side, and that's just me.
I know. I actually agree with you. I do agree with you on that.
That's just looking at talent. All right. Donita checked in and said, Donita, good to hear from you, sis. You said it's funny that Eurocentric features are beautiful when you are Black, but the Europeans choose to enhance with more Afrocentric types of beauty, tan skin, curly, permed hair, lips, fillers.
We are the sauce. We are the juice. We are the culture. Of course, it's going to be us.
I think it's absolutely also they can pick and choose the parts of Blackness that they like.
Mm-hmm.
That is the difference. Like they
don't have to live with it. They're not stuck with it. It's optional.
Mm-hmm. Right. They can take it. Look at the Kardashians. They can put it on.
They can take it off.
They can have 5 different faces over.
No, not 5
I think not Courtney. What's the tall sister name? Real tall sister.
Iman
Who's the tallest
said,
sister out of all of them? She done looked like 5 different people over the past 7 years.
Iman.
Yes.
Iman, why you make a Kardashian like a superhero or something, or a villain that can have different faces? That's wild.
Farajii, according to the history of Google and Google Images, the tallest, I don't know what the tallest sister name is. Chloe has looked like 8 different people.
Hey, wait, hold on.
Over the past 7 years.
Wait a minute, time out. Hold on. Can you cite your sources once more?
Oh, give me 1 second, because Google.
You said according to the history of Google and
according to the history of Google Images of Chloe, she has changed her face numerous times. And what's one of the twin sisters?
So wait a minute, Google has a counter?
Farajii, hold it. When you type in image of Khloe Kardashian, you're gonna see 8 different faces of the same person. Our viewers watching, please, on my behalf.
Look.
Khloe Kardashian.
Honestly, all right. To their credit, there are a lot of people that have a lot of different faces nowadays. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm surprised that we recognize anybody anymore.
That is true.
I see you today, Iman. When I see you again, you might look like somebody else. I know it. Just a hairstyle.
Now the hair. Now hold on. The hair's different. You can't. The hair's different.
Next thing you know, your lips
got the same face all the time.
Iman looking like Summer Walker by the time I see her.
I know it's Summer Walker, by the way.
Yes.
Lisa be looking like Scissor. Be like, damn, Lisa.
Woo, please, Jesus, let me. Can I?
Hey, look, real talk. Not to give. Look what happened with K. Michelle.
Oh, now, hold on, now.
She looks like a completely different person.
I'm gonna be honest with you because she's a completely different person. Yeah.
This is the day and time where you can be who you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean, look at we. That's a whole different conversation. But I'm just saying, we're living in a culture and in a time where people can literally say, I don't want to be myself, or I don't want to be what I was created as I was created. You can be what you want to be. And guess what? We got to respect that.
To an extent, because although K. Michelle might have, you want to use her as an example, she's always been black. She does not have.
No, I'm not talking about that. Yeah.
No, but that's what I mean.
It just looks different. I mean
the Kardashians.
Yeah, the Kardashians choose to get bigger lips.
Right. They black today, Armenian tomorrow.
White
they blonde today. I get it. So Donita, I appreciate you. DeAndre checked in. Colorism is relevant in every community. It's a psychological and conceptual ideology that's been passed down for centuries. If you do research, you'll see that in every continent it holds true. Yep,
that is true.
It's called white supremacy poison.
And the paper bag test. The paper bag test back in the day.
That's all, but that's white supremacy poison.
Mm-hmm. It was brought on to us, like I said.
It's all poisonous, right? Like that's because we didn't think about color as being a differentiating factor to determine who's better, who's not better, who's more superior, who's inferior. You know what I'm saying? Our differences were exploited. And as a result of that, we came into this disturbed and distorted place because of white supremacy. And I don't think we can run away from that. You know what I'm saying? Like we just recognize that you're different, but that doesn't mean that you're different. It's like, okay, you got a different color. Okay, because you're from that part of the earth. You're from this part of the world. But now we're living in time because our differences have been so exploited, and there's history of that. It has become a problem. All right, let me go to Lana. Lana, thank you so much for checking in. Always appreciate you. You said I was dark and my best friend was light. Our entire school career, she was afforded opportunities. I was not, simply because she was light-skinned. She didn't see it, but I did. I am not in denial. Let me just go. And Lana's point, I think, Lisa and Iman, it goes to show you how much of an impact that colorism can play on a woman. And men get it too, right? We get it too. But I know oftentimes this conversation is always with women, and it plays a lot of women don't recover from that. That once a woman or a man if you're told you're ugly because you're dark,
or your hair's too nappy,
or your hair's nappy, right? Or your features, your nose is too broad. You know, I got thick lips, so people say you're thick. You know, you got thick lips, and you know what I mean. Once you're told that, and I'm saying that seed is planted when you're a child, right? Man, that's one of the hardest seeds to uproot when you're an adult.
Yeah,
very true.
Agree.
Very true.
And I think that even for us as Black folks in our culture, you know, I came from the era where we talk bad about each other. You know what I'm saying? We call people African booty scratchers, and all types of jokes about the way you look. And you know me, talk bad about your mama and all of that stuff. And I don't allow my children to take part in none of that stuff, because children take on to certain things, right? And then next thing you know, they grow up an adult, and then you know, like Biggie used to say, black and ugly. You know,
However,
I'm Gucci down to the socks. So now you look into something outside of yourself to make you attractive.
Right. Yeah.
I could say I fell victim to that before. When I finally went natural, I kept relaxing my edges. So my edges would still look all smooth and like I got Indian in my family. But the rest of my head is natural. I just wanted to still fit a certain kind of part. Like, hey, I'm a Negro, but hold on, I got some of this over here. I let the perm go, y'all. I let it go. The edges is natural. But yeah, that is very true. It's hard to uproot from childhood.
It's very true. All right, let's go to Lana. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Chris checked in. Chris said colorism is very prevalent in the magazine and advertising world too. Look how there's always outrage whenever magazines trying to lighten the skin of dark-skinned women in their photos. All the time, Chris. All the time. And guess what? I think to a degree, Lise, we still accept that. Like, we know that, but we still accept that. And we're going to talk about Beyonce in a moment. But look how Beyonce, we talk about people with changing faces. Beyonce is like a blank palette. And I'm not trying to say this to be. I'm being honest. Like Beyonce, I'm saying the skin tone and her features, you know what I'm saying? Like, she could look like an African queen. She could look at like when you look at that Vogue, the recent Vogue shoot that she just did. She went from Africa to Native American to, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, Beyonce can.
I see what you're saying. Okay, got you. I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, got
Let's fight, lions.
Look, I'm out of this one. The Beehive got this.
She could be from Wakanda to Quiet Rock.
Right. I got you.
But we look at but you look at a sister like a Lupita.
Right.
I think Lupita is one of the most beautiful women in the world.
I think so too.
You know what I'm saying? There's a super beautiful woman. You know what I mean?
Sumter is beautiful, dark skin.
Yeah.
Idris Elba. That is a fine black man there.
I like how you had to restrain yourself.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, I like that.
Idris Elba. That is a fine chunk of specimen. You know, women, y'all completely objectify us after a while. Like, he is a fine piece of chunk of specimen that I like to mold.
You know, nothing against my light skin brothers. Nothing against y'all at all. Nothing against y'all at all.
And I mean, look, speaking of it, real quick, I remember being in school. You know, I'm not super dark, but I'm a dark-skinned guy. But I often heard, I had to go through that period too, because light-skinned guys, everybody, and this is the stuff, and Iman and Alicia, I know this happens in the Black community. We always be like, oh, light-skinned guys are out, dark-skinned is in.
Right.
Why can't we just all be in? Now we got a season and be like,
It's not your time. It's not your time.
It's not.
That is true.
No.
That is true.
Now you looking at, you want the darkest of the dark. You know what I'm saying? You want he got to have a dark face, dark name. What's your name? Jerry.
Not black enough.
I need a
not black enough.
The darkest of the dark now. You know what I'm saying? And I used to hear that, like he cute, but again, the colorism is so real and it's so ingrained in our community and culture that I don't know if we truly like recognize how serious it is. So look, we got to end this part of the conversation. I hope that Keke Palmer, and I hope this doesn't cause friction between these two dynamic, talented women. Like they just dynamic women. I'm big shout out to Keke for doing a phenomenal job, and big shout out to Zendaya for keep doing the work. Look, man, at the end of the day, if we get caught up in this stuff is going to go crazy. It's one thing for white Hollywood to get caught up in it, but it's another thing when we get caught up in it.
Right.
And that's the problem. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's talk about millennials who are deciding to move out the house but stay close to their parents. And I got some things to share with you for trends, posts, and doing the most. Stay with us. The final few minutes of the culture on the Black Star Network will continue. We'll be back.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on that.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
All right, folks, for today's final discussion, I wanted to talk to you about a new trend that we're seeing right now happening across the country. Now, I always try to keep you up to date on some of the social issues of millennials, so generational conversations around millennials, baby boomers, and all of those different groups that we are all a part of. Now, according to a new study by the U.S. Census Bureau and Harvard University researchers that was released earlier this week. The study found that by age 26, take a look at this, folks. The study found that by age 26, more than 2/3 of young adults in the U.S. lived in the same area where they grew up. 80% had moved less than 100 miles away, and 90% resided less than 500 miles away. Now, migration distances were shorter. Check this out, folks. Migration distances were shorter for Black and Hispanic individuals compared to white and Asian young adults. And the children of higher income parents traveled farther away from their hometown than those of less wealthy parents. Woo! Let's bring in back our culture crew, culture crew, Lise Winnie, host of Millennials Anonymous podcast, and Iman Heath, activist and entrepreneur. Lise, I thought of you when I was looking at this situation, and I said, I wonder what Lise thinks about this, that particularly for Black children, they don't travel as far as white children or Asian children. And Black children, they may, I mean, depending on where your family's your finances may be, you're going to stick around. You're going to stick close to home. What do you make of that, Lise?
I think this is sort of what society does. Typically, most people don't move within like 50-mile radius of where they were born. So most people don't usually travel everywhere. But I think it makes complete sense that millennials, first of all, let's start there. We moving out now. Praise God on that. Let's give everybody a round of applause for finally getting out of their mother's house. So that's the step up. Even if you're moving across the street, we're moving out. But I think that people are afraid. When you have money, you have the privilege to fail. And you have the privilege to, if you're far away, somebody can come and get you and bring you back. Whereas if you don't have no money, you may not be able to get that same level. You might just be stuck. So a lot of people want to stay close to home. And then I think there is this fear of leaving your family because most people of color are more like based in family. It's like you have to stick together. You have to be with us. And I think that's where a lot of this is coming from, the fear of moving away from family and the pressure of moving away from that family.
I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. Iman, what's your take on this? Why do you think millennials, are you a millennial, Iman?
Yes, I am a millennial. I was born in 93. Thank you.
Okay, you had to like check me on that.
I had to bring my Keke Palmer out.
Right, you had to bring it to 93.
I felt favored a little bit. I am a millennial. Yes, I am. So first of all, rent is high. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, in Baltimore, especially in the county, you can't get a 2-bedroom with the washing machine and dryer without at least paying $1,800 a month, and you might get a balcony. So rent is high. On top of that, a lot of us have not been educated on the process of buying a home, what it takes to buy a home, what you need to buy a home. So we're starting kind of from scratch with the process of being able to purchase a home. On top of that, I do agree that a lot of us don't travel far from home. It could be due to trauma responses. I will say, and not from my experience, but from other people's experience, domestic violence issues. If your mother or parent or grandparent are dealing with someone that's they're usually physically fighting all the time, you want to be close enough home where if you get that phone call, you can get there rather than have to get on the plane and rush home. Or if grandma is sick or she needs this and needs that, we need community, the family community, to stay close enough so we'll be able to help out there. Also, financially, flying out and things like that, I'm not going to say most. My opinion is that most of us, especially as children, don't get the opportunity or even think of getting outside of, number one, the state, or better yet, the country.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say someone born on the East Coast, some of us don't even think to go to the other side of the country. So it's also just not having the idea of something not being thought of. Some of us don't go as far as Ocean City, and we've been living in Maryland all our life. So it's a lot of factors to that.
Yeah, I think, and here's the big thing for me, that all of these factors, there's still just a slight feeling like there's a failure to launch. You know, that whole saying that children really don't get to be children. I remember so vividly my father saying at the age of 18, son, you're going to have to leave the house at 18. Son, you're going to have to leave the house. And I would think to myself, well, like, why are you pushing this narrative for me? Like, why is there this rush to kind of push children out the house? And I get it, children cost, especially as we get older. I mean, especially if you're working, but you're not contributing to the household. I mean, I get all of those things, but it's interesting that so many adults, and I'm saying adult children, want to live around their parents. Like there's still, and I feel like Lisa's still like parent, knowing your parent is a couple of miles away, a few miles away is like a crutch that you can always kind of go back. And I'm wondering to myself, is that a healthy place? Like, should millennials start to venture out more to build the confidence for themselves to be out on their own?
I think we're the stagnated generation. When you look at the other generations, that X was the latchkey kid, so they were able to stay home. I think in our defense, we became that generation that had the internet. We were a little bit more of the homebody, and parents shifted a little bit. So they had more time to spend with us. You had more parents that were hover parents and bulldozer parents. So things were changing.
Right.
So we are a more sensitive generation. Like, we started the sensitivity. Okay. Ralph Tresvant, that's the millennials. What I will say is that I think, especially in the Black community, there is a bit of smothering that goes on where they don't want. I think the fear is that if you leave, you're going to abandon them. You're going to see that life is more outside of it, and then somehow they will feel left behind. So they don't want you to get too far away from them. So I think
you said the parents. Let me make sure I understand at least. You're saying parents, like mothers and mothers have imposed that on their children.
Yes.
Fear? Okay.
Yes. Because, as Black people especially, there's a lot of things to be afraid of. So then we put that off on our children, and then they themselves become ingrained in this fear that I can't make it if I go out there. I can't make it if I do that. That is not what Black people do. We already are not exposed to the same levels of, this is a job. Like, I became an adult when I found out, oh, you can do that. I didn't even know those opportunities existed, like Amon said. So if we're not exposed to it, we don't know not to be afraid of it. And it's not our parents' fault. It's just they didn't know what they didn't know. And now you have these people who don't want to move. And that's why I think a lot of the times our wealth is also stagnated, because in order to move, in order to gain wealth, you have to know different people. In order to do that, you got to move.
I like that. And here's the question I have for you then, Iman. Do you think that, and particularly I'm speaking of Black adult children, right? Black adult children, is that what keeps us confined? You know what I mean? Like we because here's what I'm saying. It's interesting that you grew up in a city and you never ventured out. It's one thing to venture out, go away for college, right? And usually it's that around that time where you can kind of see a little bit of the world. Like if you go away for school and then you come back home, right? That's one thing. But what if are you arresting your own development and growth when you grow up? You may go to college, you may not go to college. If you do go to college, you still living at home, or you still, need your parents. When you become an adult, a full-blown adult, you still living at home. Is that arresting your own development? Is that a sense of confining?
I agree.
Is that healthy?
I don't think it's healthy. And I do think you are, I would say, stopping many opportunities when you stay home. Now, going away for school for a long period of time is not for everyone. However, you do miss opportunities when you don't get outside of your comfort zone or what you're used to. I'll be the first to admit, I will not move far away from my mother. I'm down the street. I'm not going far.
Why is that?
It's a protective thing. If she needs me, I need to be able to get there for whatever reason it may be. So that's just me personally. But As far as us getting out beyond, our state that wherever we may live, it does stop opportunities. You stop connections. It's a part of networking, which we need to do. There may be opportunities in Virginia that I can be a part of, but because I'm just so stuck or uncomfortable with being outside of what I'm used to, I'm going to miss it. I do believe that it's a generational thing sometimes where grandparents and great grandparents put these fears on us because of their experiences. For example, my father could have been overseas playing basketball, but because his grandmother said, it's not safe beyond this point, or what if I get sick, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Her fears were put on to him. Yep. So he decided not to go. So it's a lot of factors. But I mean,
that's a lot of factors. And that's exactly why I'm bringing this up, because, and at least you said it in your opening remarks, that it's so easy for parents to impose their own fears to the children. And it's like, I get there's a comfort zone, but like when I read this piece, I thought about my dad. My dad is like Mr. Worrier himself, right? He always worries about stuff. And I had to tell him, like, Pop, you sometimes, in the form of I'm just trying to take care of you, trying to protect you, you act as if, I've been blessed to get all these years on my own, have a family, and then you still like question my own sanity, my own ability to make a decision that is good for me and my family, or to think about the safety. Well, son, have you thought about that? It's one thing to be like, all right, Pop, this is some good thing, but my pop will like worry me to death. And I'm like, just calm down, like, and I think that it could be a gift and a curse. I was reading a book recently about motivation and, more importantly, about fear. And they said in this book, there are three types of people when it comes that operate from a place of fear. One that are warriors, one that are weaklings, as they call them, people who talk big, but they're afraid to actually take the risk to do big. And then there are ones that are wicked, those who have ill intentions. They work out of fear, so they sabotage you because they don't want you to be better than them. But you have to check yourself. Like, am I a warrior? Am I a weakling? Or I'm part of the wicked, right? You have to check yourself. And I think that when we're talking about branching out, you have to check your own intentions, especially if you're talking about with your children, your grandchildren, your niece, your nephew. Do you fall in any of those categories? Do you fall in that? When you think about your own self, do you talk your own self out of your own blessing? Because you're a warrior, or you're a weakling, or, you might be detrimental to your own dreams, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I think those are the type of conversations that I think that we should have, because millennials bring a lot. And I'm saying, Iman, like you and so many young folks, that I'm seeing so much can happen, but then I'm also seeing a very narrow world view that is present, right? So you only think your neighborhood. Nobody likes that. Oh, no, who thinks like that? And and it's like this very narrow view. And I think for us as Black people, we have to be global minded, right? We have to be global minded about how we see ourselves and our citizenship in the world. But then we also got to be global minded to know that, if you're from Baltimore, you don't have to just travel to Miami to vacation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're from Baltimore, if you
go to just New York to go shopping,
or just go to New York, or just stay on the East Coast, right? Because you feel like, oh, if I go to Los Angeles, the earthquakes is going to take me down.
Now hold on. I will say, I never fear of getting on a cruise, because I cannot imagine we're surrounded by water.
Right, and it's like, oh, Black people don't swim. You be like, what?
Yeah, I know how to swim, Farajii, but I it's fair. It's worry and weakling based. I cannot imagine.
Yeah,
Titanic immediately. Like, who's gonna wake? Imagine waking up and it's just nothing but water. Where can you go if something happened? You're going to be.
Why are you acting like? Wait a minute, time. Like, wait a minute. Hold up, Iman. Let me just help you to just overcome this fear in like 30 seconds. Okay. No ship that has hundreds of people is leaving the docks without being accounted for. ships. They talk to other ships. They talk to a control center. This is, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you're taking a plane. So I've literally talked to an adult, like, I don't take no planes. Do you know that there are more car accidents than there are plane crashes?
Yeah,
that's very good.
I think people feel like things that they can't control. This is why people don't move, because if you move, there's going to be elements that you can't control. That's why people don't get on planes, because once you're in the sky, that's it. You just been in the Lord's hands.
We're surrounded by air. What can we do?
What can you do? But in your car, you feel you don't have control.
You don't
feel like I have control. So it's easier for me to sit in this car, pretend like I have control, because it makes me feel powerful, even though our lives can be over like that, and we have no control over it.
Right.
Very true.
Right. And see, the thing is that how do we make sure that we don't impose that same fear, or pass that fear rather, to the children coming up and to the generation behind us? Would you ever tell your children to not move so far away from you?
No. I told my children, all of you, one is going to Berkeley, you going to Berkeley, you going to NYU, you going to Duke. I said, each one of y'all will go to college outside of the state of Maryland to explore new people, new surroundings, and to get to understand that the world is not just in Maryland.
Right. Excellent point. All right, look, we got to take a quick pause. When we move forward very quickly, let's go to Trends Post and Doing the Most. I want to bring you up to date on some of the trending topics that are happening right now. So we'll be right back here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on that.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
All right, folks, with a few remaining moments of the show, we wanted to share with you some of the trending topics that people are talking about and got everybody moving. All right, let's bring in back our culture crew, Iman Heath, Lise Winnie. All right, ladies, the first one is the fact that there has been another exoneration of the Central Park of what we consider to be the exonerated 5. There were actually 6 black boys that were charged in that case. This is the 6th teenager. He was charged in the Central Park jogging case. He's finally exonerated. Stephen Lopez, he had a robbery charge linked to that 1989 attack, finally being cleared from his record after all of these years. His story did not become a national conversation like the other 5 have. He's considered to be what some call a forgotten co-defendant, and he was just involved in that whole situation. But he was exonerated. He was arrested when he was 15. He struck a deal with prosecutors just before his trial 2 years later to avoid the more serious rape charge, instead pleading guilty to robbery of a male jogger. He went to prison, and it was revealed after the fact and years later that he was not the one that was responsible for the robbery nor the rape. And so he got those charges exonerated from his record. And now his story is finally being told. Very quickly, Lise, what's your take on that?
I'm happy that it took a long time, but at least at this point, he should be able to live his life. It's unfortunate that it took this long because that followed him this whole time. But it is better that it was exonerated and now he can live a normal life.
It's crazy because, Iman, his story is really not told. Stephen Lopez, 15 years old, we don't know about his story. And I think that this kind of like a telltale lesson that, you know, everybody who goes through things like this, right, some major tragedy, they all need to be included in the conversation.
Always. And as we know, the system ain't shit when it comes to African Americans. We don't get the same loopholes. We don't know about the same loopholes. But again, the system was never built for us. So I'm glad that it has been removed from his record. But that time that he spent and the damage that already has been done, how do you make up for that? Millions won't fix it. Thousands won't fix it. But like I said, the system was never made for us. And that's the cleanest and best way I can say it. Best way I can say it.
I love it. Love it. All right. Here's what else is trending, because I knew that Lisa was going to be on the show. So as a card-carrying member of the Beehive, her queen, B-Day is coming, folks. It's dropping this Friday. Look at y'all. Y'all are both like, okay.
Yes.
So Beyonce has officially released a track list for her highly anticipated 7th studio album. And as a result of it, many people are just, folks are literally speculating. There was this video of Issa Rae kind of responding to just the names of the track list, to the names of the track that carry it's interesting, very interesting stuff. Let me just share it with you. She got a number of tracks, and maybe Lise, you can explain it. She says she got one track called "I'm That Girl."
Yeah,
you know, that's gonna be an anthem. That's gonna be a banger. Cozy, That's interesting. Alien Superstar. Yep. That might. I think Jay-Z might be on this. I think this one. I think this.
It might.
Alien Superstar.
Well, hey, look. Hey, look. Next Tuesday, when the album drops, I'm coming right back to this. I want to see your mom's face. She would be like, Farajii, Alien Superstar is repeat. She also got a track called Cuff It. She got a track called Energy. She says she's also going to bring another version of her hit, Break My Soul. There's going to be a different version actually on the album. Beyonce been working, son. Church Girl. Woo!
That's gonna drop some tea. I think that's gonna be the track of tea.
Girl.
You think so?
Okay. Plastic Off the Sofa is another one.
I like that one. I like it.
I don't know what the hell we're gonna get with that one.
I'm something with something about family. Something about, you know.
Maybe this the tea. Maybe the tea coming.
This is the tea. But
you know,
I read another. I read another writer. She was like, it could be, you know, a very sensual and sexual song. I don't know.
I was thinking that, but because black people with the play, like, don't you sit in my living room? Like,
you think about your grandmother. Yeah. Yeah.
My grandmother did that one. Another one, Virgo's Groove. To all you Virgos out there.
That's
she
gonna be
she got a rep for the Virgo. She got a song called Move and Heated. And she got a song called Thick with a Q. So trust and believe. Somebody watch. A whole bunch of girls are going to be typing the wrong word on this English test starting in the beginning of school. Thick.
No,
THIQUE.
That's the one right there. That's gonna be the song. Man.
Now, I'm a little nervous that the sound is going to be nothing but house music, though. I am a little nervous about that.
No, she got a country song on there.
Yeah, a country, country.
She does have a country song on there. All Up in Your Mind. America Has a Problem. Okay, we know that. So,
okay, Beyonce.
Let's see what Queen Bee has to say. What the problem is. She got one called Pure Honey. That's like pure.
That's sexy.
/ honey. And then finally, Summer Renaissance. 16 tracks.
Sexy too. I think she can be sexy. This is her sexy bag. I think she's gonna really give us different types of music: country, house, R&B, pop, rock. I feel it.
Now here's the thing. And I was talking to Nira about this. I was like, this album better be good. Because I think people are like I think we're kind of at our wits' end with celebrities in general. And I'm saying that's the culture. But, you know, Beyonce is on a whole different level now and all of this stuff. So anything that she puts out is a major monumental moment for the culture, right? So if the album is not considered good on first listen, I ain't talking about, you know, on your fourth or fifth listen. I'm talking about first listen. You go through each, this is what I do. I listen to like 1 minute of each track. Be like, all right, let me get the vibe. All right, cool. That's how I go through the album. Then I go back and say, all right, let me listen to these songs now. But I gotta feel the energy and the vibe. Okay. Iman, if the album is not a banger, what will happen? What do you foresee happening here?
To be honest, you know, God, Beyonce, it's no way that it can't be a banger, no matter who.
Wait a minute.
That's not my opinion.
We can go down the list of artists who have always been traditionally bringing it, and then when they put out a certain album, people be like, people didn't think this Drake album was that. Some people didn't think Drake's new album was that good.
Yeah, I think it was horrible, but I think it all depends. They have to cater to different fans. Not every fan wants to hear the same type of Drake feel, but I definitely believe Beyonce can't have a not banger CD. Like, it's not possible.
Let me ask you this question. What would make the album a bad album? What would make it a terrible album? Is there a particular song, mood, tone that you think, or just overall direction that you think that would make the album not so good?
The same tone throughout the album. It's going to get boring. Don't get me wrong, don't break my soul and quit your job and quit this and make your money. If we sing about that the entire album, don't get me wrong, empowerment, woo, 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 but be sad sometimes. Or give me something to be sexy to, or give me something to get dressed to. Don't give us the same sound the whole album.
All right, let's go to the Beehive. Lise.
I think that, and I told you I'm bronze. I don't got platinum membership. I don't have platinum.
Hey, y'all are crazy, man. Don't you? You did not start off your comment.
I did. Now I got bronze. I got demoted. Okay. Because I tell the truth. Like I buy Ivy Park and all of that stuff. But I think that Beyonce is on the cusp of it. I think she does it because she loves it. Because Beyonce don't need to make another album.
Don't need to make another one.
She is solidified in history. She is an icon. She don't need another number one hit. But honestly, I don't know. Because even Break My Soul didn't go to number one. So I don't know.
But it did make some. Break My Soul still was in the top 10.
It was in the top 10, but it didn't go number one. So that's why I'm saying that I don't know if this album will go number one, but I think us Beehive members will support it, and we're gonna love it, and we're gonna keep it and rock with it till the wheels.
So let me ask you, as an honest Beyonce fan, what would not make this album hot?
I think if she tries to be something that she isn't, which I think this is why the last couple of songs that she's had didn't really resonate as well. I think Break My Soul was the first time in a long time she's gotten into the top 10. People want her to get back to the roots of Beyonce. And I think we're going to get that with this album. Because right now, we get a lot of Jay, and we love Jay. That's her husband. I don't like rapping Beyonce. That's just me.
That's just you. I got you. That song she did with Meg, though, took it all the way to the top.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Let me tell
you something. Got it from Tina. You hear me? Go ahead, B.
That was a feature, but here's the thing. Like I'm still waiting for the next Jay-Z album. He said it on Kevin Hart's talk. He's not retiring from rap. I'm still waiting. I don't care if Jay's 65 years old. Dude, he could just be an old ass man rapping, and I'm gonna be like, yes, tell him how to do it, son. Whatever you want to do.
Does AARP like he can
I don't
be
care.
over there.
You could do AARP.
You gonna ARP it out.
You getting free pancakes at IHOP. Whatever you want to do, bro. Like I'm here for it. But this Beyonce thing, like I know that some of the most notable powerhouses in music are dropping new projects this year. Mm-hmm. It's of course Drake. We're talking Beyonce. Kendrick dropped his. Meg is about to drop hers. She said that it's 95% done. So you know what I mean. And the two singles that she came out. That's a whole different conversation we ain't got time for.
Yeah.
But I just think that something is really happening. I don't think it's by coincidence, for one, that all of these musical powerhouses are dropping albums around the same time. So, but I do think that they are trying to shift the culture in a different way, especially Beyonce with her sound and everything. So it's interesting that you said that you want her to be authentically B.
Yes. More fun-loving B.
Fun-loving B. Not, you don't want to be like, I'm that. Okay. Yeah. You don't like the rapping B.
No.
No.
But it's still all that, our secret sign, all that.
Is this what's going on with this? What's going on?
The B symbol. We got the B symbol. B symbol.
Wow.
The secret sign, all that.
Oh God.
Y'all doing all this? I mean, Lisa, you just like walk through the street and y'all be like bzz, 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 bzz. Like talking in Morse code, be like bzz, 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 bzz.
Yes.
Like bzz, bzz.
Lisa got demoted, Farajii.
So she can't even.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I appreciate that. I certainly appreciate it. We will see. B-Day is coming on Friday, July the 29th. We'll see how much of the culture is going to shift. At least you let us know that the album is coming.
Yes. Yes. And I'll give you my full rundown on the album when it drops.
Next week, we'll do it. No, next week, we will set aside some time for Iman to pick her favorite tracks. Because she probably will have a number of them. Look at Iman. If Iman comes back and be like, yo, out of 16 songs, only like 2, I'm dead. She'll be like, Farajii, I only like 2. One of them was an interlude.
Let the bee sting me. I don't care.
Right.
It might. We got that secret symbol. We might send it out. I don't know.
Yo, don't do that. Iman, you do not want to invite the beehive. Let the bees say. That's for Iman, because I don't want that on my. Don't come on my Twitter page talk about we heard what you said on Tuesday.
Look, my Facebook account going to get shut down.
Right. All right, ladies, always a pleasure. It's a great honor and certainly a privilege. Thank you so much for both being fantastic and dynamic, and certainly being so good for the culture. Can't wait for the conversation next week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, man. All right. Time has been well spent today. So I thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Make sure y'all support us here at Black Star Network, blackstarnetwork.com. So support, you can certainly give your money to continue the movement of making sure that Black media matters, making sure that Black media stays in the hands of the people, making sure that Black media stays unapologetically Black. Support us now at Black Star Network at blackstarnetwork.com. Also share with your family and your friends that you can subscribe for free, and that all can be downloaded on your favorite device, as well as all of our content. There it is right there, blackstarnetwork.com. All right, folks. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Stay tuned at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Tune into Big Brother Uncle Roro for Rolling Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Have a great evening. Peace.